All right, so macros versus intuition, can they coexist? First off, let's look at what is macros. Macros, is macronutrients, is a shortened to macros, is basically counting all the macronutrients that go in your body. Macronutrients, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. So when we talk about macros or the macro form of eating, it's logging every macronutrient that goes in your body by gram. So for example, 120 grams of protein per day would be a macro goal. Now, when we talk about intuition or intuitive eating, or IE, it's just like what it sounds. You're eating with your intuition. You're listening to your body's cues when you're hungry and when you're full. Okay, tell me something. Have you ever stood in front of the pantry and just thought, should I eat the rice cake or should I just pray the cravings away? Macros, as we've talked about, gives you results. But when we switch to intuition, intuition gives you that sense of peace. So maybe now you're caught in the middle. You might be wondering if, choosing macros over intuition or vice versa might mean betraying the other method. But the truth is, you don't have to pick sides. You don't have to pick macros or intuition. I talk to a lot of women who are goal getters, they're goal chasers, they're filled with faith, and they're just trying to live in obedience to what their body needs, what their body requires. And they've tracked macros before, and they've also tried, the intuition method where they're just listening to their body. And now they find that they're stuck. Macros can feel like homework. It can feel tedious. It can almost feel kind of like you're in math class, and you get a little bit of guilt, with macros. And intuitive eating can also feel like wandering around without a map. You're just kind of just following your intuition, which is exactly what it sounds like. But somewhere in the middle is that deeper question of, God, I just want to honor you with my health, but I don't want food to control me. So extremes don't work. I'll say it that way. Extremes in any manner don't typically work. So let's just call it what it is. Macros give you structure. They teach you what protein actually looks like. They show you that under eating is not a discipline, but it's really just shooting yourself in the foot, draining your own energy. But macros can also, they provide results, but they can also steal some of your joy. So there's the good and the bad. You start eyeballing, green beans, like they might just blow up your carbohydrate count for the day or for the week. So you start to bring your food scale to family dinner and you get a little obsessive over it. And at some point you stop eating with what your body needs and you start more eating with a calculator, if that makes sense. Everything is very meticulous and measured, but then you swing to the other side and we talk about intuitive eating. We talk about intuition. Sounds dreamy. It sounds like eat when you're hungry, stop eating when you're full. Simple enough, right? You eat with your body cues. But if we're being real, most of us, I think, have spent years getting used to ignoring our hunger cues, or using food as, an emotional filler rather than a physical filler. You eat when you're not hungry, but you eat for other reasons. Or on the flip side of that, rewarding yourself with food, as a reward system rather than eating when you're hungry or stopping when you're not. So when your intuition is foggy from stress, your intuition can take a hit when you are sleep deprived. Hello, moms, I'm talking to you. And if your intuition is off, then intuition alone is not going to cut it, right? If you're only going off of intuition, but your intuition is off because of your life events, that alone won't cut it. So when we talk about macros and intuition coexisting, the good news is those two methods of eating are not enemies. They're partners. They can work together. So you'll start to have the knowledge from both. You'll have the knowledge of how to count macros, and then you'll also have the knowledge of how to listen to your intuition, listen to the cues that your body is giving you. And then, you have the knowledge on one side and the wisdom on the other, and you put those together, and that's where macros and intuition come together. You can track macros for a season. I would probably have you doing food journaling meticulously for a while your body learns what it actually needs. And then we slowly transition into this season of intuitive eating, which is more built on a foundation of truth, of reality, actuality. What does your body need versus what do you want, if that makes sense. But the real reasons you keep going back to the pantry at 10 o'clock at night is not that you're hungry. You're probably not hungry after you go to bed. But the truth might be somewhere in the emotions or the other aspect of it. So if you are a woman of faith, you don't just eat to hit goals. You eat to fuel your body, to fuel the mission that God has put you here for. You eat to show up for your family, to show up with energy and with a sense of joy for your family and your friends. And you eat to steward the body that God gave you, not to worship it, not to punish it, but to use it, right? This body that He gave us is a gift, and we are told to steward our bodies because it belongs to Him. So let me give you an example. Let's say that you track your food for a few weeks and you start to learn, wow, I was under eating protein by like half of my daily goal. And now that you have the intuition side of it, even without tracking, you'll start to intentionally start building meals with a solid protein source, a fiber source, and something satisfying, something that your body wants and your body needs. You don't need MyFitnessPal or the food tracking app to tell you that grilled chicken and roasted broccoli is a solid lunch, right? You've got the intuition now that says, I feel good after I eat that. You know that now with macros and intuition. And then you start to trust yourself to just walk it out, to just walk out what you already know. So yes, macros and intuition can coexist. And so think of it like this. Macros teach you the science, intuition teaches you the art, and God gives you the purpose, right? So if you've been stuck swinging between the extremes, I get it. But if you're ready to blend structure with sanity and results with peace, then send me a message, DM me, message me directly. This is exactly what I teach inside this program, and it is possible for you. It's possible for anybody. And my friend, freedom doesn't mean eating whatever, whenever. Freedom is being able to walk in discipline and to have that sense of joy because the Holy Spirit is going to lead you in both.